afternoon. On behalf of the California ISO, I'd like to welcome you to the Western Los Angeles Basin Black Start Service Request for Proposals meeting. My name is Elisandra Casillas, representing the Stakeholder Affairs Group here at the ISO, and I will be facilitating today's meeting. And I'm also joined with Scott Vaughn, Manager of Transmission Assets. This presentation and other materials related can be found on the Miscellaneous Stakeholder Meetings webpage. Some housekeeping reminders: this call is being recorded, and the video file will be posted on the initiative webpage for information and convenience purposes only. The recordings and any related transcriptions should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. The meeting is structured to stimulate dialogue and engage different perspectives. Please keep comments professional and respectful. Also, please try and be brief and refrain from repeating what has already been said so that we can manage your time efficiently. And instructions for questions: we will pause for questions periodically throughout the meeting, or you can raise your hand by selecting the hand icon above the chat window in WebEx, or if you've joined via audio only, please press #2 on your device. Please remember to state your name and affiliation first. You may also send your question via chat to all panelists. If you need any technical assistance during today's meeting, please send a chat to the event producer. From here, I will turn it over to Scott Vaughn.
Thanks, Ellie. Appreciate it. This is Scott Vaughn with the ISO. I'm the Manager of Transmission Assets. We're just going to go through the slide today, talking about the Western LA Basin Black Start RFP and kicking off the window for proposals. So with that, if we could hit the next slide. Great. Today, we're going to go through the cost allocation, the area of consideration, the selection factors and evaluation criteria, the Black Start resource requirements, the facility information requirements, individual unit data we will be requesting, the analysis methodology, and the compliance criteria that are needed by Black Start units. Next slide, please. So procurement of and cost allocation for Black Start capability has evolved in the ISO balancing authority. Traditionally, the ISO had secured Black Start from utility-owned generation under agreements with a $0 reservation fee. Utility retail bundled customers paid for those costs. The ISO tariff had some changes approved in 2017 to revise the cost allocation rules to facilitate Black Start agreements with generators that involve new capital investment and cover operating costs. The generator owner will file an agreement with FERC reflecting the cost of service rates. These costs are designated as reliability services costs under the CAISO tariff and allocated to the PTO whose area the generator is located. Costs are recovered by the PTO pursuant to that PTO's reliability services tariff, which in this instance will be Southern California Edison. Next slide, please. So the geographic area that we are considering is a Western LA Basin area. So this graphic depicts the Western LA Basin. It actually depicts the whole LA Basin, but you can see the two subsets, the El Nido area and the Western LA Basin. One is orange and one is a greenish shade. These are diagrammatic. We have listed the outlying substations for that area. And if there are any questions concerning the location of facility who's bidding or is considering putting their proposal, we have a list of all the substations. If you would submit those questions to the Black Start competitive solicitation mailbox, we'll answer them for everyone to see. With that being said, we can go on. Unless there's any questions up to date, I don't see any. We can move on to the next slide. So the geographic area here, our goal is to create a stable 230 or 220 kV island in the Western LA Basin to facilitate a faster system restoration in the event of a blackout. The generating resources that are not located within this geographic area, we would love for them to submit proposals provided that they can meet the technical requirements of energizing a 230 kV bus and establishing an island in the Western LA Basin 220 kV system. Next slide. So the selection factors and criteria that we will be using to evaluate proposals include the calculated time to energize the 220 kV bus within the Western LA Basin, the calculated number of switching steps to the first potential remote target unit, and we're looking for the technical ability to meet restoration requirements, including the ability to start a remote target unit. That would be real and reactive power requirements, protective relaying requirements, ramping requirements, voltage control, and frequency control type requirements. We're evaluating restoration flexibility, which would be different paths to possible different target units, locational diversity in the instance that we consider a second or third Black Start resource in this solicitation as awarding a Black Start service contract. The commencement date or in-service date proposed for these changes to a plant to add Black Start capability, and the costs and probability of completing the contract, service term contract. Next slide, please. So a Black Start unit. So the definition of a NERC Black Start unit is a generating unit and its associated set of equipment which has the ability to be started without the support from the system, or it's designed to remain energized without connection to the remainder of the system, with the ability to energize a bus, meeting the transmission operator's restoration plan needs for real and reactive power capability, frequency and voltage control, and that has been included in the transmission operator's restoration plan. And so these are the requirements we're going to be asking. We have commercial and technical worksheets that need to be submitted as part of any proposal that comes forward. So these will be what we'll be evaluating under. So next slide, please. Black Start service requirements. The facility must be able to start up on their own, under their own power and serve their own plant load. They must be able to have protective relay settings to meet system requirements during a Black Start event. They must be able to run in isochronous or frequency control for 48 hours continuously. They must be able to energize a dead transmission bus within 3 hours of us telling them we're going to need them to start up. They must be able to provide real and reactive power requirements to provide startup power to a potential remote target unit. So I'll pause here if there are any questions. I don't see any. So we'll keep on moving. Next page, please. The facility information we will ask for in proposals is the interconnection voltage and location, the type of unit or fuel that's being used, the operational characteristics and limitations, including things like generator D curves, ramp rates, those are the type of things. A single line of the facility, a general Black Start restoration procedure, an estimated dead bus restoration time, and we're going to ask for historical facility reliability from facilities that are augmenting their site to add this service, Black Start capability. Next page, please. Individual generating units or unit requirements will be the electrical characteristics, including impedances and short circuit characteristics, transformer impedance and tap settings, tie line impedance, I already mentioned, generator impedance, GE PSLF steady state and dynamic models. Next slide, please. The methodology we'll use is after we receive all the bids, we'll do a technical evaluation, which will first validate the submitted data to make sure that we received all the information we need to perform the analysis. Then we'll map the resources into the system model in the area, and we will run preliminary steady state analysis to make sure that we can do voltage control within the 220 kV system. We will determine the switching requirements and steps needed to energize the 220 kV bus and potential target unit. And then we'll do analysis of the dynamic requirements, the megawatts and megavar capabilities, the fault current availability, ability to regulate frequency and energize cranking path, voltage regulation, and if there's any operational deadbands. So load pickup would be included in that. We'll also then consider restoration flexibility, which is number of paths, different ways we could restore the system using the Black Start, proposed Black Start generator. And then if we are considering more than one Black Start service generator in the area, we will consider locational diversity. I see there's a question. I saw it and then it flashed away.
I can read it out loud for you.
Sure.
All right, the question is from Nikhil Rana, and the question is, are battery storage systems allowed to participate in this RFO?
So we are technology or resource type agnostic here. If you can meet the requirements of the spec, the technical spec, then you are encouraged to bid. So if your storage system or battery system can meet the requirements, then absolutely we would consider that as a Black Start resource. And with
no
that,
further questions.
Okay. We will move on to the next slide then. So the commercial analysis methodology would be, this is a cost of service type contract. So your cost would be covered plus a return, and then your operating costs would also be covered under this Black Start service contract that gets awarded. We'll look at capital costs, we'll look at O&M costs that are indicative in the bids to make a determination for the economic ranking of proposals. We'll also include a schedule for implementation on when this unit could be Black Start ready, which is the commencement date as well, and likelihood of completing a contract. You know, this contract we seek for 5 to 10 years. 10-year contract is preferable for Black Start service, and so want to make sure that if we do these retrofits, that there's a high likelihood, of course, that the units will be around to complete the contract. Next page. And so compliance criteria, we've listed here some of the compliance criteria that Black Start generators need to be aware of. Of course, there's first EOP 005-3, which is the system restoration requirements. All SIP requirements, they used to be 3 through 9. Not sure if there's been movement this time, but those are what they were just recently. So those need to be confirmed. And then they need to comply with the ISO's Black Start resource testing requirements, which is our procedure OP 5630, which requires Black Start generators to be able to energize a 230 kV or high side transmission bus for 10 minutes on their own without any help from the system. Next slide. So the next steps. This is the last slide here, and this is our schedule. Today is March 1st, and so we are opening the window for Black Start request proposals. After 60 business days, those will be due, which is on May 25th. We will go through each proposal, make sure we have all the information that we need. If not, we will submit requests for information and request that those be returned to us within 5 business days. Well, it says 10 business days. Once everyone is validated, we will start our evaluation process, which is the 75 business days, and then we will notify applicants and post a report. During the window being open between March 1st and May 25th, please submit questions to the Black Start mailbox. Those questions will be cataloged and they will be posted. And so what we'll do is probably once a week when we get questions, we will answer them and post them. And so we'll roll the revs on the miscellaneous stakeholder site so that everyone can see the answers to the technical questions that are submitted. We will not list who submitted the question or identify. We will just submit the question and the answer. And with that, I'll open it for any remaining questions.
There are no questions in the queue or the chat.
Okay, well, once again, I encourage anyone who has any questions you can either submit them to this mailbox that's listed here, or I think I just saw one. Did you see one pop up, Ellie, or was that you?
Yes, I have. There is one question.
Okay.
The question is from Emily McCrory. Can you comment on how this interplays with the CAISO interconnection process?
This is a reliability service. It's not a it's not a new generator per se or a new resource. It could be a new resource, but this is not a market-based generator that would be selling to the market. Black Start service is an additional service that under restoration. So this is not a service that goes through the interconnection process because it is capacity in usually an existing facility, or if it's a new facility, that new facility that was doing something besides Black Start service would need to go through the interconnection process. So Ellie, we're capturing well, correct, these questions?
I'm sorry, you cut out for...
Yeah, sure. We're capturing these questions as well so that I can take these questions and answer them inside the Black Start question and answer period. So we'll take these questions and we'll also post them on our weekly answers to questions. So that is how it interconnects with the generator interconnection process. It is not part of the generation interconnection process.
Thank you, Scott. We do have one more question.
Sure.
The question is from Kevin Monan. How do we obtain the forms needed for the proposal?
So if you go to, I believe, Elliot's in stakeholder processes, miscellaneous stakeholder affairs, Black Start is where we posted the document.
Yes, that is correct. You'll be able to find those forms on the miscellaneous stakeholders meetings webpage.
And if you can't find them, please go ahead and just email to this mailbox, and I'll go ahead and send you the link.
There is no further questions.
Well, great. Thank you, everyone, today for attending this stakeholder call, and look forward to seeing proposals for the Western LA Basin Black Start service. Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you, Scott. I will now conclude the call. Thank you for joining today's discussion. As a reminder, this meeting was recorded for informational and convenience purposes only. The video file will be posted on the miscellaneous stakeholder meetings webpage for a limited time after this meeting. Have a great rest of your day.